A surprising confession suddenly shook the international K-pop community. Jungkook, one of the youngest members of BTS, openly admitted that he feels worried about Jimin. The question immediately struck the hearts of millions of ARMY. What is actually happening to Jimin? Why would a close friend and teammate like Jungkook openly voice his concern? Over the past few months, BTS fans, affectionately called ARMY, have been treated to regular updates from Jungkook, who is currently serving his mandatory military duty. Photos of training, short messages, and clues about upcoming projects have become daily nourishment for fans longing for their idol's presence. However, one thing has continued to confuse everyone. Where is Jimin? Why did the idol, who is usually very active on social media and so close to fans, suddenly disappear from the public radar? Speculation spread. Some believe that Jimin intentionally chose to fully focus on his military duty, distancing himself from media attention to calmly fulfill his national obligation. However, other news has emerged that only increases worry. Some soldiers who know their military teammates whispered that Jimin had a minor injury during training. Though it was said to be not serious, ARMY could not contain their anxiety. "I know he's okay, but still, I feel worried," Jungkook revealed in a message delivered through the fan community. That statement instantly sparked an emotional storm. If even Jungkook, who interacts directly with Jimin every day, feels anxious, how about the millions of fans out there who have no idea about their beloved idol's condition? The lack of direct news from Jimin became the main source of unease. An internal source close to BTS once conveyed that Jimin chose not to appear much in public during his military service to maintain focus and energy. Yet, the openness culture that has existed between Jimin and ARMY makes this silence suspicious. Is there something that hasn't been told to the public? Meanwhile, K-pop industry analysts began speculating that Jimin's silence was not without reason. They suspect a major project is being secretly prepared. Even theories emerged that Jimin and Jungkook recorded something together before entering the military, which will be released right after their service ends. They wouldn't miss the comeback momentum after military service without bringing a big surprise, said a Korean entertainment industry observer. Among ARMY, the talk of a possible secret project sparked heated debate. Some were optimistic and believed all would be fine, but some could not deny their fear. "We just want to hear one sentence from Jimin. Is he okay?" wrote a fan on social media. Support hashtags and hopeful messages kept flowing, and some ARMY even sent physical letters directly to the military base just to make sure Jimin knew how much he is missed. Approaching June, the time when Jungkook and Jimin return from mandatory military service, the waiting atmosphere grows tense. Fans not only hope to see BTS reunited as a full group, but also look forward to whether the big surprise Jungkook hinted at is real. The Korean entertainment industry is also preparing, as the return of these two global icons is believed to shake the international music scene. But behind all the speculation, one thing is clearly felt. The emotional burden carried by both Jungkook and Jimin during their service is not light. Far from cameras, far from grand stages, they struggle as ordinary soldiers, facing exhausting physical training, mental pressure, and inevitable longing. In such a situation, Jimin's decision to withdraw from the public may not be a big mystery, but a personal need to get through difficult times in the most peaceful way. Still, for ARMY, who have always received direct news from him, this silence feels like a heavy loyalty test. Nothing hurts fans more than uncertainty. That's why Jungkook's statement about his worry immediately became the center of attention. If even Jungkook is worried, what really is happening behind the scenes? Now, while waiting for both to complete their duties in June, all ARMY eyes focus on one thing. What surprise is Jimin preparing? Will all the waiting, anxiety, and tension be fully rewarded with something extraordinary? One thing is certain, soon, the K-pop world will be shaken again. Not only by the return of these two superstars, but also by the stories hidden behind the walls of military barracks. Only time can answer all these questions. Until then, ARMY worldwide will keep waiting, full of hope, with prayers never ceasing. Hopefully Jimin is okay. Hopefully, Jungkook and Jimin will return bringing the smiles long missed. And responding to reports claiming that BTS's Jimin was allegedly involved in an emotional interaction with the media amid his military service. It is important for us not to just swallow raw information, but also reflect deeply. Do you, as a respectful reader, really believe this event happened exactly as presented by various platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and other online media? Or do you start to question whether this entire narrative is just a fabrication deliberately designed to attract public attention and gain sensation? This question is not merely rhetorical. In an era where information flows so rapidly and without filtering, critical thinking is no longer an option but an urgent need. To what extent are you willing to question the validity of every piece of information you consume? Can you distinguish between verified facts and rumors with unclear origins? Have you ever asked yourself who actually benefits from the spread of such dramatic narratives? We need to emphasize that the information we present here comes from various media sources, ranging from user posts on TikTok, reaction videos on YouTube, to viral tweets on Twitter. However, as we have previously stated, the truth of this information still requires further verification. Are you aware of how fragile the line between fact and hoax is in this digital age? How often do you cross-check before deciding to trust or even share a news story? Imagine for a moment, if the reported event is just a fabrication, not only Jimin's reputation is at stake, but also the public's overall trust in the media. Have you ever considered the possibility that certain parties deliberately exploit BTS's popularity to boost engagement, regardless of the truth of the information they convey? Who will bear the consequences if the public has been misled by false information? On the other hand, if it is true that this event happened, how should the public respond? Is it appropriate for us to be swept away by media euphoria without leaving room for empathy toward the individuals involved? Do we, as an audience, have a moral obligation not to worsen the situation by spreading baseless speculation? These questions need serious reflection. Undeniably, social media has enormous power in shaping public opinion. But are you aware that this power can also be a double-edged sword? When information is presented half-baked, without adequate verification, who ends up being the victim? Is it only public figures like Jimin, or also us as consumers who lose trust in the media? We invite you to pause and reflect. When was the last time you checked a news source before sharing it? Have you ever felt deceived by bombastic headlines that didn't match the article's content? Are you aware that social media algorithms often amplify provocative content to keep your attention? How much have you become a victim of this instant information consumption pattern? Furthermore, we want to encourage you to ask yourself deep questions. Why do I believe this news? What is the evidence? Who is delivering it? What is the motive behind its spread? Such questions are relevant not only in celebrity news, but also in many aspects of daily life involving the flow of information. As an intelligent reader, you play a crucial role in building a healthy information literacy culture. Don't let yourself be trapped in a whirlpool of sensationalism that only benefits a few. Use your skepticism as a tool to sift what information is trustworthy and what should be ignored. Remember, in a world full of digital manipulation, the truth is often hidden behind layers of captivating narratives. Finally, we want to thank you for your willingness to read and reflect on this discussion. Hopefully, this article is not just information consumption, but also a trigger for deeper reflection. Let's build critical awareness together in responding to every circulating news. To create a healthier and more responsible public space, one last question for you, dear reader. Are you ready to be part of this change? Are you willing to start questioning, researching, and verifying every piece of information you encounter rather than just being a passive consumer? Or will you continue to let yourself be lulled by the torrent of information, never asking what really happens behind the scenes? Think carefully.